What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Thank you for tuning in to episode 14 of the Daily Dose podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Jackpack LLC, all organically grown cannabis right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Keep running up the channel, guys, and we'll keep it popping. Got a ton of stuff to go over today. Some good boxing fights from the weekend. Obviously, the controversy in the main event of the UFC 316 this weekend. Couple current topics. Let's get right into it, guys. I guess the biggest thing, we'll go over some of the fights from the UFC card at the Apex. Now it's listed, of course, as Gamrot versus Ludwig Klein. Real quick, there's a couple good fights on there. Jordan Levitt had a nice submission, coming off a layoff. Dustin Jacoby, as I predicted to win, got a beautiful KO. And, of course, Mateusz Gamrot did what he does, and he was put on a beautiful 30-27 across the board. I had picked him to win as well. Now, in the main event, we had MayCee Barber versus Erin Blanchfield. As MayCee Barber's getting ready to come out, music drops, it's time to go, and then the event is canceled. She was having seizures, allegedly, and she was right about to walk out, so they had to call the event. Now, I see a lot of people, including Erin Blanchfield, she's pissed, unprofessional, people calling her out, people getting mad at her. Guys, if she had a seizure as she was walking out, there's nothing you can do about that. First and foremost, it's a sport, it's a job, it's entertainment, we all love it, but you got to make sure the fighters are safe. If she's having a seizure, even if she shook it off, you can't go out there and compete, get hit in your head, stuff like that, guys. So prayers to MayCee Barber. Hopefully she's okay. It was definitely a unique situation. Erin Blanchfield doesn't want to run it back because of it. We'll see what happens. But as well, there was a good boxing card. Jamal Charlo was the co-main. You had Caleb Plant in the main event. Let's break those down. So Jamal Charlo, coming off a long layoff, he had a lot of mental health issues, a couple battles he was dealing with, and he comes out with a flawless performance. Looked better than ever. That was absolutely the best Charlo at 168 pounds. Hydrated, healthy, educated jab. He beat the brakes off Buddy. It was great to see. Like I said, I picked him. I was a big Charlo fan. Just wasn't sure how he was going to do mentally based off, his previous kind of battles he's been having. But he looked great. That Jamal Charlo right there, I'll put him up against Canelo. I'll put him up against Benavidez. I'll put him up against anybody at 168 pounds. Was dope to see. Shout outs to Jamal Charlo. Now, in the main event, Caleb Plant, of course, people are going to say this, that, and the third. The unfortunate part about fighting is Father of Time is undefeated. A fighter may look perfect, on point, sharp, beautiful one fight, and the next fight they're just not quite there. He was fighting a younger fighter, and he just didn't look like he was the usual Caleb Plant who could get in there and grind it out and stick and move. He wasn't throwing much. He was getting, caught with a lot of shots, dropped a few times. A lot of people were saying he was out of shape, he didn't dial in, this and that. Knowing what I know, and I follow Caleb Plant on social media, he's always dialed. He checked every box. He put the work in, guys. It just comes down to Father of Time is undefeated, and that's just how it goes sometimes. So, nevertheless, shout out to Caleb Plant. Hopefully he either comes back and gives us another good fight or two or calls it. Obviously, he had that incident with Jamal Charlo, and Jamal actually said he would love to get that back. Obviously Caleb slapped him in public, so if Plant and Charlo fought Saturday night, Plant would have been stopped badly. I mean, Jamal looked on point, so definitely an interesting one. Now, this weekend, pay-per-view card, UFC 316. It's going down, coming at the Prudential Center in Newark. Should be a good card. Let's go over the main card. So, Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. This is a very tough fight. I really feel like it could go either way. I'm going to take Kevin Holland, being that I think Luque is a little older and kind of slowing down. Obviously, we all know what we get from Holland. He's always here to scrap. He's always trying to put on a show, So I think he may pull off a unanimous decision. I don't know that he necessarily finishes Vicente Luque, so I'm going with Kevin Holland on that one. Now, in the next one, we got Mario Bautista versus Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix obviously was the former Bellator champion, coming in here, showing what he's got. I've had the pleasure of being around him. He's a super hard worker. His grappling is insane. I'm going with Patchy Mix by submission over Mario Bautista. Next fight, we got Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pfeiffer. Same thing. We kind of know what we're going to get from both these guys. They always come to fight. They always put on a good show. They're always game. I feel like Kelvin Gastelum he hasn't been on in a long time. Even any wins he's had, which I think his record's not too good as of late, he just doesn't look consistent. He doesn't look as passionate. He's just kind of there. So I'm going Joe Pfeiffer, unanimous decision. Again, Kelvin Gastelum doesn't never get finished, so we'll give Pfeiffer the unanimous decision. In the co-main, we got Juliana, Nate Diaz Jr. Pena versus Kayla Harrison. Now, I say Nate Diaz Jr. because she has like a 500 record. She's always down to scrap. She's whatever. She's down, this and that. But especially in this fight, someone with the skills and the level of grappling and wrestling that Kayla Harrison has, I think she's going to smash Juliana Pena pretty easily. I could be wrong. It is a big weight cut for her, but other than that, she has every other box checked over Juliana Pena. Now in the main event, Merab Dvalishvili versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. Obviously, I'm a big Sugar Sean fan. Would love to see him get the belt back. It's a tough one, right? I understand he had the injury. He had the hip injury. That makes it harder to grapple, to get up, to land some of your shots. Is it quite enough to win? I'm not sure. I will say that he definitely had a good game plan, landing the teeps, throwing the knees down the middle. If he's a little fresher and he's a little stronger, maybe he does. I mean, obviously, if we look at the first fight, Merab did his thing. He controlled. He did what he does. If we're looking at it from an actual who got hurt and who was ever in danger, that was Merab. He was running in the 5th round. He was looking at the clock. He was waiting to get out of there. So, if I'm a betting man, like, if I had 20 grand to bet, I'd probably put it on Merab. But, Sean's my boy. I'm rocking with O'Malley. Hopefully he gets the 4th round finish this time. So that should be a good card this weekend. The boxing card was really good this weekend. The UFC had some decent ones. And then, like I said, we had that weird event happen in the main event. More than anything, guys, a lot of people that could never make the walk, have never cut weight, don't know anything about that, are just critiquing and criticize her. Give her some prayers first. Hopefully MayCee Barber's okay, and we'll go from there. It's just a sport, guys, so let's see what else we got going on. We got some current topics. Jaime Munguia fails a drug test. It's crazy. A lot of these big boxers are always, seems like they're in more controversy as far as failing drug tests over UFC or, MMA in general. But you rarely see a big UFC event be pulled or after the fact someone failed a drug test. It's always in boxing. So shame on y'all. Jaime Munguia, come on, man. Get it together. Did you guys see Sean Strickland and Mike Perry sparred together? So this is one of those things where, like, you don't feel bad, or it wasn't as, like, cringy because it's Mike Perry. But Sean was beating the brakes off him. I'm like, goodness, dog. He was lighting Mike Perry up. So Perry said he's just kind of going around the country, getting some training, trying to just get some work in. Shout outs to him. I was around him a little bit as well at Jackson's. He's definitely an interesting character. But, Strickland, it's like, come on, guys. If you're sparring him, he's going to... I feel like he literally is almost better in sparring than under the lights. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's had great fights, but in sparring, he's, like, wrecking people. He's talking trash. He's laughing. I'm like, if you were like that in your fights, you'd probably be even more successful. So it's interesting. I think he's one of those guys that are even better in the gym than on the fight night. So, but like I said, that was Mike Perry. He knew what he was getting into, and he hung in there. He was throwing punches and stuff, but he was getting lit up. Now, is Alex Poatan Pereira and the UFC butting heads? Right? We first came out that he posted that tweet, and it was like, oh, no, that was someone hacked it. Then it kind of looked like, no, it wasn't hacked. He probably said the wrong thing. Now Ankalaev came out and said, let's move on. July, I'll fight whoever. So it seems like there's some type of disagreement with Alex in the UFC, which is very weird. Up to this point, he's been their yes man, taking fights on short notice, saving cards, you name it. So, I mean, I don't know what it could be if he's looking to get compensated. If I was the UFC, I would definitely compensate him. He's earned his stripes and stuff like that. So, I have a couple other current topics, but on a side note, BKFC 75 is coming live, Albuquerque, New Mexico this weekend. I'm going to be getting all the coverage on it for the Daily Dose channel. We're going to do some pre-fight interviews. We'll do some fight footage. We'll do some post-fight interviews. So stay tuned for that. Another current topic, Nate Diaz. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this interview, but Nate Diaz was basically saying that Conor McGregor's role in Roadhouse could have been for Nate Diaz. Now, I'm not a hater, guys. I'm a fan of Nate Diaz. Obviously, he's, more of like just a good rep and name versus what he's actually accomplished in the octagon and in the cage, right? He's never been a champ. Always down, always a dope guy. So, like I said, I've actually partied with him in Vegas before one time. He was super cool. But that's cap, my boy. You know damn well that you did not get a Roadhouse roll. We all know Nate Diaz, right? When he goes to the press conference, he has about 10 words he uses. So you're now going to tell me that you are going to translate that into a movie role? I just don't see it, so I doubt it. Connor's very, a character. He can speak well, all that stuff. So I don't actually believe that you were casted for a role just based on all you really say is 7 words in your press conferences, and half of them are usually cuss words. So it was just funny. I saw he had put that out there, and, I'm like, I don't know about that one. So some I did want to address. I don't really get into religion, politics, stuff like that, because it always causes stuff. But the one thing with Biden coming out and being super sick, it is very weird, guys. You got to realize when you have cancer that deep, like and in your bones and everything like that, obviously that didn't just happen yesterday, the day before, or the month before. He's had that for a while, and no matter what side you're on, you got to recognize that we were being lied to. There were certain details being excluded. Someone else was running the show, and again, whatever party you go with, that's wrong, right? Even if I was supporting a party and they did that, it's like, hey guys, he's supposed to get yearly physicals, a lot of stuff. It just doesn't quite make sense. So something to keep in mind, guys. Obviously, people that hate this person or that person, they're gonna ride a certain way, but you got to realize that no matter what, that was manipulation and lying to the public, and they were trying to fight for something where a lot of people were right, that Biden probably wasn't the one making the decisions. I mean, even just over the last couple of days, he had a speaking he went to. And it's like, why you guys keep doing that to him? This guy can't read the prompter. He can barely speak. He starts getting sidetracked. I mean, I'm like, I don't know if you guys know, it looks terrible when you do that. So no matter what, the president of the country should get a respect and certain looked at, regardless of, this, that, and the third. But when we do stuff and when we allow people with controversies and we hide stuff, it's going to make it a little harder, So I don't know. I just wanted to put my sense out there on that. Like I said, I don't usually get into it like that. So not a huge episode this week. Mainly, the Apex card was pretty boring. Those boxing fights were really nice. Shout outs to Cromell Morton. He's one of Floyd's fighters, kind of an up-and-comer. I think he's like 18, 19. He looked real well on the card. The UFC fights were decent. Like I said, I feel like these Apex cards are just always pretty weak. Like, if the main event is a non-title women's flyweight bout, again, no disrespect, but that it's probably not going to be a huge card. So 316, at least it's better as far as the pay-per-view card because that's what they're paying for. But even if we go back and look, other than that, I really didn't see much. So let's see. Yeah, I don't really see any names kind of on the prelims or anything. Another interesting thing is I saw Kevin Lee, and I've seen a couple other fighters that were, Holly Holmes. Some other people that are supposed to be on the GFL have now signed to other organizations. So it's probably pretty much official. We could say the GFL is never going to happen. And the reason being, guys, is a few things in my opinion. First of all, the UFC is a machine. It's a well-oiled machine. They got it down. They got the formula. Hate it or love it, they're the only organization that has stood the test of time. Now, GFL, main thing, they were getting a lot of older fighters, right? So we love them. We know the names, but are people really going to pay $40, $50 to see, two 45-year-old fighters fight each other that we seen fight 10 years ago? Probably not. That's just the reality, And then they were offering, they were paying everybody, super big guarantees. And then they were also saying that we're going to split 50% of the revenue of pay-per-view. Guys, that would never work. You know what I'm saying? If you do a pay-per-view card and you only make $500,000, you're going to be in trouble. You're not even going to cover anybody. So just their whole setup and approach they were trying, it was kind of failed from the start, and that's why I wasn't hating. I was just, you got to be realistic about it. You'd have to make $20 million, $30 million a pay-per-view event every time consistently to pay everybody and split money just to probably break even. So the GFL ain't happening, guys. It is what it is. People try. Sometimes you have an idea and, it doesn't necessarily work out. So the last thing, of course, that we always like to end on is our message of the week. So my message of the week is don't listen to people you can't learn from. If they don't live a life that you want or they haven't achieved anything, what can you learn from that? You know, a lot of times people get caught up in people's opinions that don't even matter. Everyone has great theories, very few actually execute. So if someone has never, made money, started a successful business, if they're not living a good life, why would you worry about what they think or feel? Only take advice from someone that you see they're living a life that you might want to live, a similar path, things that, now you can always, of course, people that don't do anything and fail, you can always learn from, but anybody who's strictly a theory guy, they don't do anything, they just play it safe, but they always have input, that's the last person you want to take advice from. So my thing is, find someone that you want to live like, ask them as many questions as you can, be around them as much as you can. And to be honest, I only have a few mentors in person that are actually like that. But what you can do is go on the internet, you can follow these guys, you can look at interviews, you can really study people. And, in the day and age that we're in, you could get anything you want. So that was episode 14, guys, of the Daily Dose podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Keep running it up. I truly appreciate all the support. See you guys next week.